Hey folks, Colin here from Sumthins Recording, and today I'm going to show you how to add a little extra energy to your bass and make it stand out in your mix by using distortion. Okay, so we have your standard bass setup here. We have a bass DI and a bass amp, and if you guys remember from the bass mixing video, I usually separate these frequency-wise, okay? So our bass DI is holding our low end down, okay? So we have everything from 182 down, that's our low end, and then our bass amp is just our high end, okay? So that gives us a good balance and a little bit more control over our low end, right? We can turn our low end up and down independently of the treble in our bass, okay? So let me show you what the bass sounds like as it is before we talk about adding the distortion. So there's not much treble, there's not much high energy to begin with. So that's what we're going to be adding with this distortion now. It might cause a few problems here, especially with that part. That has a little bit of high-end energy to it. So that's something we might have to take care of down the road, but that's not what this video is about. So let me pull up an EQ first off, and let me show you where our bass is sitting with the fundamental. So all of our bass energy is sitting right here. We have a little bit of mid-range here. Now we could just add this. And pull up our top end. But see, then when we hit that note there, it's really exaggerated and it really pokes out. So we're going to add high-end energy by using saturation and distortion, okay? So we're going to take the bass DI track here, since this is our clean track, there's no distortion to begin with, and we're going to duplicate it, okay? So we're going to pull it down here, and we'll call it bass dist, with a T, for distortion, okay? So we're going to copy the EQ over from our amp track, okay? So we're just going to distort the high end. We don't want to be distorting the low end. We don't want a dirty low end. We want to keep our bass low end nice and clean. That's again why we're using the DI, okay? So here's just our top end. Now we're going to pull our distortion plugin on, okay? And maybe we'll go extreme with this. Maybe it'll just be something light. We'll see. So we want to pull our output down. We don't want to increase gain. It's pretty close. Now that may sound pretty gnarly to you, but the more instruments we add, the guitars, the keyboards, the drums even, will absorb that distortion, okay? And all this is going to add is a little bit of top-end energy, a little bit of treble energy, so you can pick out the bass notes, what they're playing, and discern them inside a mix, okay? So let's pull this back, and we'll add it in to our bass tracks here, okay? So here's our DI and our amp. So right there we can hear it. It's not overbearing though. Let's pull it all the way up. That's a pretty heavy bass on there. Now this is something all the way up like this that would sit between some big distorted guitars really well. It would glue together with them. and it kind of gives you that triangle shape, right, where you have your guitars panned wide, your big distorted electric guitars, and then you have your distorted bass in the middle, and they kind of make like this equilateral triangle shape. Now, if that's not the sound you're going for, just pull it back, dial it back till you're getting just that high-end energy that you want out of it. So that's a little bit more subtle. You can still pick out the distortion, but it's not overbearing. And even if we just let's throw in the guitars and keyboards. You don't even hear it anymore here. So there's all the way up. You can pick out that distortion pretty well, especially on those higher notes. This is kind of a good middle compromise. All it's adding is a little bit of high-end energy so you can pick out the bass in the mix, okay? So here's without, and then I'll add it in halfway through, okay? So first we'll do without the guitars, the keyboards, and then we'll add it back in. Just a little bit of lift, a little bit of extra energy, a little bit of grit on the bass. Hear how it drops back a little bit when we pull the distortion out? It sits a little bit tighter with the instruments, and you can discern the notes a little bit better with that little bit of distortion in there. And if this is still a little bit much for you, if you have like a chiller acoustic track, you can pull it all the way back. Now it's just adding just a little bit, just on the top. You don't even hear it as distortion. It just gives you that kind of amp grit that helps your bass stand out a little bit. We'll throw the guitars and keyboards back in. So here's a little bit more subtle. I like it right here around 7. It gives you a little bit more of that top end energy inside this mix. So without it, you still have your low end power. There's just no top end. Okay, and that's it. Just a quick tip for you today on adding energy, adding some top end to your bass track using distortion, okay? Hope that was helpful for you. If you need any mixing done on your songs, feel free, head on over, click the link in the description, sumthinsrecording.com, and request a quote for your next project. I'll see you guys in the next video.